Deb Cheatham is here this evening. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Deb Cheatham, 120 East 15th. Thank you for... I guess I just don't understand what your agendas mean exactly, but I'll move on. That's okay. I won't have...
All I can do is apologize.
Okay. On April 7th, I appeared before you and lodged a complaint against Mr. Manager. I believe his actions with respect to Mrs. Fox's pond violate both the Constitution of the State of Wyoming and the ethics ordinance of the City of Casper. And I ask you to investigate and act on that complaint. I understand from your agenda on your work session for the 14th that a personnel matter was discussed, and I am led to believe that that is the matter, that one of the matters that was discussed on the 14th of April was my complaint. On the 21st of April, I was here for your regular meeting, and you asked me if I had received your letter, and so I had not at that time. Your letter is dated April 17th, but it was postmarked April 20th. I did receive it at least 22nd of April. I'd like to read that, please. April 17, 2015, regarding citizen complaint. Dear Ms. Cheatham, thank you for bringing your concerns and complaint about the city manager directing city staff to clean silt out of a private pond downstream from the Hogadon Pond construction project to council's attention. We have researched and discussed the relevant factual and legal issues and addressed the matter internally. Any findings of or actions taken by council regarding its employee, the city manager, are subject to privilege under the Wyoming Public Records Act as a personnel matter and may not be disclosed. Sincerely, Charlie Pell, Mayor. I was kind of perplexed by that because the Public Records Act pertains to public records, which are information in a physical form. And that's not really what I asked you for. I asked you for an action. I didn't ask you for a public record. Now, in your last work session, Mr. Lubin provided you with an outline of Robert's Rules of Order and gave some education to you on a number of different things. One of the pieces of paper in that primer that he provided you deals with the Public Meetings Act. Let me just read a couple definitions. Action means the transaction of official business of an agency, including a collective decision, a collective commitment, or promise to make a positive or negative decision or an actual vote upon a motion, proposal, resolution, regulation, rule, order, or ordinance at a meeting. I don't think there's any argument that you folks are an agency as the governing body of the city of Casper. I don't think we're going to argue that one. Meeting means an assembly of at least a quorum of the governing body of an agency, which has been called by proper authority of the agency for the express purpose of discussion, deliberation, presentation of information, or taking action regarding public business. Assembly means communicating in person by means of telephone, whatever. That really isn't pertinent. Section 16.403A, all meetings of the governing body of an agency are public meetings, open to the public at all times, except as otherwise provided. No action of a governing body of an agency shall be taken except during a public meeting following notice of the meeting in accordance with this act. Action taken at a meeting not in conformity with this act is null and void and not merely voidable. Now, you are permitted under 16.405 to do certain things in executive session. you are permitted to hear complaints or charges brought against an employee, professional person, or officer. So you're allowed to hear my complaint, but you heard that in a public meeting, which was considerate of you. Yes. Following the hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session. But the act that you took, that your letter says that you took, must be taken in a public meeting. And so, because you did not take an action in a public meeting as you're required to do, I'm renewing my complaint. I'm asking you to take an action on my complaint that Mr. Patterson violated the Constitution of the state of Wyoming and the ethics ordinances of the city of Casper when he arranged for Mrs. Fox's pond to be dredged and cleaned up by the city crew. I'm amending my complaint to list the $1,200 gift he gave to Mr. Brown because he led us to believe that Mr. Brown had taken care of that on his own, and I was unaware until the press had mentioned that in their article that Mr. Brown had been paid $1,200 as a result of that. Now, violation of the Public Meetings Act calls for penalty, but I'm not going to ask for a penalty. That's a civil penalty. I'm going to leave that with the Press Association to take care of that. But I'm renewing my request. Please take action on my complaint. Thank you.
Questions for Ms. Cheatham?
Thank you.
Your Honor. Mr. Vice Mayor.
So you're saying the decision that the council made in executive session about a personnel matter, that decision wasn't good enough. The decision needed to be made in a public meeting.
Correct.
So you're proposing that we take a vote as to whether or not your complaint should be dismissed, investigated, etc.?
Mr. Mayor, I believe that there is a spectrum of things that could have happened during the course. A spectrum of things could have been decided in your executive session. I suspect what you did is you dismissed my complaint. Okay, I suspect that's what happened. That's on one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is that you could have terminated Mr. Patterson's employment, which you obviously did not. And then there are a number of other other extremes that could have been. There are a number of other items that could have been taken in that spectrum, but all of those are acts by the governing body of an agency, and those acts must be taken in accordance with the public meetings law.
Mr. Lubin, I think we need a definition of act. Are you prepared to tell us what you advise us?
If I may, Mr. Mayor and Council, as alluded to by Ms. Cheatham under 16.4.403, all meetings of the governing body are public except as otherwise provided. There's a specific exception for personnel issues for people who are employed by council, which includes the city manager. Those are not available to the public. You can investigate, and the statute specifically provides that you can deliberate the issues in the executive session. Coupled with that is the Public Records Act under 26.4.203, which requires the custodian deny all access to records or information compiled solely for purpose of investigating violations of, or if you will, a complaint, and or enforcing internal personnel rules or personnel policies. You have to read all the statutes together. Personnel items before council are not a public action item. They're strictly be held strictly in confidence. Council did respond to Ms. Cheatham with the letter. As to whether a vote was taken or not taken in executive session is not a matter for public discussion. The actions, you have the right to deliberate in executive session on personnel matters. In my opinion, they are confidential and they are not for public dissemination. The reasons for that, the public policy behind that is so you can get an accurate and honest assessment of a situation in your executive session. And if you were to make these type of things public, people are not going to have candor with you or be honest with you in your decisions on personnel. So in my opinion, the discussion stops now. These are not items for personal or public discussion. Mr. Patterson has an absolute right to have those items not to be discussed publicly.
Any questions for Mr. Lubin or Ms. Cheatham? Councilman Lindell.
So the decisions that we made do not need, all we did was just, we made in a public hearing, in a public meeting, Mr. Mayor said this is what we did.
Your executive session is not a public meeting.
I think Councilwoman Mundell is referring to the letter, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
The letter is simply a response that you address the issues in executive session, but you don't address the specifics of what you found or did not find in that executive session. It's the same way we treat complaints with the Casper Police Department. Again, officers of that department have the same protections under the personnel law that Mr. Patterson has before you as a body. And we respond to complaints the same way. They're investigated, they're handled internally, but whatever happens in that forum does not become a matter of public record.
Thank you.
I would just like to point out that your police officer supervisor is ultimately Mr. Patterson. Mr. Patterson's supervisor is an agency of the state which is required to act in public meetings. Thank you.